Howdy peeps, and welcome back to what I believe is part 19 of my SU76 build series. We're getting close to the end now. It's been a long haul, and I've got to say this is definitely the longest I've ever had a model on my bench for. I think the previous record was 30 days, and as I'm recording this on the 27th of November, I think I started this in September, we're a long way in. So as much as you're probably wanting me to get this finished, so am I. Well, where do we get to? Well, last time we had, what have we done? We'd got the we'd done the pigment work on the exhaust and added some mud to the underside. Well, I've done a little more since then. As I said I was going to do, I added some pigments to the sides and the undersides to make it a little dirty, tie things in and vary the tones, and I've also popped the wheels and tracks back on. As you can see, we got the muck and mire up the front, and from the side we have the wheelies and trackies on both sides. No, don't hold it by that bit, that's going to ping. So all we have to do now, or all I'm going to do now, is to weather up the wheels a bit. As you can see, I've added, or you might be able to see, if I put the light on it might help. There we are. I've added some of the Vallejo mud that I added to the sides of the hull, and now we're just going to add the pigments to those, then weather up the tracks. So let's get with it. Pop that there. Now for this, what I'm going to use is not actually pigments per se. I'm going to use what are they called? Soft pastels. So an oil pastel, I think, kind of chalky. As you see, Faber-Castell, you can pick them up from your art supply store. Not too bad for a pack. What were these? These were £9 and they'll last for a long time. And we get a large selection of different colours. And how do we use these as pigments, you say? Oh, we do. Good. Causing carnage over there. As we can see, the two colours I've used are this ochre colour and the burnt umber. We take our scalpel or craft hobby knife, whatever you want to call it, whatever you use, and we just scrape it along until we build up some dust. We'll do the same with both, because we're going to need both colours. That'll do, that's plenty. And the application method is exactly the same as it was with the pigments, the purpose made ones. And as this is rather a mucky job, I'm going to get my clean shiny cutting mat out of the way, and we're going to move back onto the manky dirty old one. So tanky on its side, bring the pigments back in, and it does balance on its tracks just about now. Same stubby bristled brush, and again we just gonna add some pigment. Again, not being too careful, we don't want an even coating, don't want it all the same colour. I'm just gonna, oh, pardon me, a little burp again. I really should stop having a good slurp before I start these videos of something fizzy, shouldn't I? That might be an idea. Reduce the amount of burpage. But hey, one of these days a big one will catch me off guard and then you'll jump. So, well, what can we natter about today? Personal news. As I'm sure most of you are aware, I would say changed my job. I got a job. I had been out of work for a while due to redundancy, and I've just been offered more hours, so That will obviously reduce my time available at the bench, and while I'll try not to let it reduce my video output, you never know, these things can happen. It'll be nice to have the extra cash for the extra hours, because it means I'll be able to afford to actually go out and buy some new models. I don't think I've actually bought any since September, really, or beginning of September. What have I had? Yeah, I just had the one figure turn up since then that I won in the auction. I only went for that because it went for a stupid low price. So yeah, it'll be nice to be back to being able to buy things and not have to worry about money anymore. But at least till the end of this year, and we'll see how it runs into next year. But yeah, so that's going to affect my bench time definitely. But as I said, I'll try and keep up with the videos. Try to I'll get at least one up a week. I'll try for two, but with the best will in the world, sometimes things don't quite work out as you'd like. And being as where I work, you don't exactly get much time off over Christmas. I think I may even actually be working Christmas Eve. I won't get much of a chance to get a big backlog of videos ready to put up, so I shall have to be efficient in my time, and yeah, we shall see. It's one of these things. We have to earn money to be able to do the things we enjoy doing. Right, and to just remove the excess, I've got my old fan brush just to blend and remove some of the excess pigment. And now we'll switch to the lighter shade. This one we're not using a lot, or we're just using it to break things up. Just it's not monotone brown. I know sometimes mud dirt can be monotone brown if it's all in the same area, but it's not visually very interesting. And just a little bit of this will tart things up nicely and improve the overall appearance of the model slightly. Again, back to the fan brush to remove the excess. And because I'm not using a fixative to attach the pigment, it's quite easy to remove any that you don't want. There we go. And we just pop over and do the other side. The only downside with not using any pigments to hold them in place, or not using any fixers, sorry, to hold them in place, is until we put that, or until I put that final flat coat on, got to be a bit careful handling it, because otherwise they will rub straight off. But as I say, if you want to use a fixer, go ahead. This is because we are quite near the end now. I say it's literally just this and the tracks, dirtying them and then shining them up a bit, and we're done. I'm confident to leave it. And heck, I might even finish it in this video. You never know. Stranger things have happened. Do we want some more? I think we might be needing a little more. Scrape out Let's just lift it out and use some of the dust that's gathered in the bottom. So what's next for me? Well, once we finish this off, I will start on the build series of a plane, which is looking like probably being an Edward, is it a football for a Messerschmitt? Oh, it is a BF109, which I think is one that most people tend to do as a build series, but hey ho. So there's different techniques involved building a plane, and that one comes with photo etch, so I'll be able to show some of that as well. I think it's probably all just going to be standard, straight, just super glue it on. Might not be any need for soldering. If there is, you'll be able to watch me burn myself live on camera. Right, that's that. And just a little bit of the ochre to break it up. One thing I will say is putting the tracks back on with the upper hull and fenders in place, they don't actually fit over the guide wheels, return rollers, sorry. So I did have to chop a couple of the guide horns off, but the guide horns that are, you can't see them, they're the ones directly behind the return rollers, so it's not exactly a problem. And the way to figure out which ones they are is if you offer up the track with the sprocket and the idler in, pop it on, and you'll see which ones are catching. And I just use a little fine line marker pen just to mark which which guide horns it was needed chopping. Chop them off flush with the track, and then just pop everything back on again. Easy enough to do. Not exactly tricky. And there we go. That's all that done. So now for the tracks. That one did kind of fall apart a little, but never mind. For this we are actually going to use pigment because we're going to be using a bit more of it. But as luck would have it, I have pigment exactly the same colour. I've just got to remember which one it is. There we go. Oh, I've got to get it off this shelf without knocking everything else off. Come on. There we go. It's the AK Burnt Umber pigment. Give it a bit of a shake up in case it's settled. Which it had. As you can see by the big lump, there we go. Right. So again, we're doing exactly the same thing, we're just popping it in between the track links, in all the nooks and crannies where muck and mire would build up. It's all falling back in again. Come back, come back. Just check I am in shot, yeah. Sometimes I forget to check I'm in shot, and it's just sheer blind luck that I am. Oh, itchy head. There we go. And a bit there. And onto the other side. So what else has been going on lately? Work. Ooh. Modelling. Model wise, what have I started lately? I've got a little 48 scale Matilda on the go, which is going to be pretty clean. I'm not going to weather that one up too heavily at all. It's pretty much done. Just got to pigment the exhaust now, I think. And I've got a wingy thing on the go and a figure. So the Academy Hawker Hunter, which if you're considering buying and building, it's the one I did a review on a while back. It might be an idea to ignore the instructions, fit the wings to the fuselage halves, then put the intakes in, then put the fuselage halves together. There's some interesting fit issues, shall I say, i.e. they don't. Ooh, plenty, I do. But we got around that problem with copious use of sprue goo as filler and lots of sanding and filing. So these problems aren't insurmountable. Sometimes they just take a bit of work, or sometimes a bit of lateral thinking. Yeah. Right, now I'm going to have to point this in another direction and blow to get the excess off, because I don't want to blow the pigments all over my bench. There we are. Right, so that's the tracks mucked and muddied up on the front and back. We just got to do the sides, which won't be quite as heavily done. Actually, getting a head shadow in there. Actually, I might just leave those. Let's add a little extra depth of colour. Tonality never hurts. Even though we're going to be coming back over these again with different effects soon. I'll just add that little bit more wear to it. It almost looks like I actually missed these with the wash. Might have been where I was holding onto them and basically took it all off with my fingers. So the top one looks pretty gungy. It's just the bottom lot looking a bit clean. So and if you're doing a snowy scene and you're using white pigments, don't go and answer the door afterwards, because if you've got white pigment all down you, looks like you've been doing something you shouldn't. There we go. As you can see, I mean, my hand's going brown fairly rapidly from the pigments. Wipe them off my trousers. There we go. So do we need to do that side? That side looks fairly well covered. So again, we pop it down, and at this stage, if you want, you can add a coat of clear or matte varnish just to seal in all the pigments. But I kind of want to get this out of the way now and done. So what's next is making the edges of the tracks all shiny. There are several ways of doing that. You can dry brush it. Paint it carefully, whatever you like. again I'm going to use pigment. This time I'm going to use what they call a colour or a clay shaper. This is a silicone brush, just a silicone rubber nub, chisel shaped one, which we can pick up a very small amount of pigment on this because we don't want it going everywhere. And this is gunmetal colour, so we just apply the pigment, and because it's a sort of a semi-solid kind of, well, it is a solid brush, it won't go down into the detail, it will just leave it on the top surface, which is what you want to get shiny. But yeah, these things make certain jobs a lot easier, and I forget whose video I first saw someone using them in. Yeah, I do apologise whoever's video it was I first saw, if they're watching this. I think it might have actually been Mig, so in that case it's not a problem because there's no way he's ever going to watch one of my videos. But yeah, it's I say, if Mig Jimenez starts watching my videos, something's gone drastically wrong somewhere in the world. It's probably a sign of the end times. Just give that a bit of a wipe off every so often, because you will pick up some of the other coloured pigments on it. Where they're sat on the top surface. And we move. Ooh, how are we doing on time? Ooh, might actually pretty much get this done. Give it another wipe. I'll do the front of this side as well. But I suppose what we're doing here is basically dry brushing with pigments. And if I pull that up, you'll be able to see the effect probably a bit better if I make it focus on the tank rather than the background. So we've got the mucky bits in the recesses, and the high points are nice and shiny where they've been cleaned off by whatever surface they've been running on. It probably wouldn't take more than a few seconds of actually running on a road or a prepared surface or anything a bit stony to clean all the tracks back up again. At least that's just what my thought on the matter is anyway. So just add more. Let's go around it all in one shot. Yeah, so This is looking like the end is in sight for this one. I've got 5 minutes left. What have I got to do? Finish doing this and then basically pop the crew in and we're done. Yay! So, well, I thought I might get to about 20, so it's looking at 19. So yeah, I know that's still an exceptionally long build series by anyone else's standards, but I wanted to be thorough and cover everything. You never know, a beginner could be watching and you could miss something out that they've never seen or don't know how to do, or something I might think is just an obvious thing or basic, a thing I always do, pardon me, without thinking about, might not necessarily be obvious to someone else. So I figured I'd cover the whole lot of it anyway. It's, if nothing else, it's kept the content going up on my channel. So I've pretty much run out of kits in the stash I could review. I've got a couple up there, but they're either old kits and they've probably been reviewed 1,000 times, or in the case of the Takom Kraz, just too big really. There we go. So before I blow it, I'll move the Matilda out of the way. So that's that. Just wipe me thingy off. So what else was there? Was there anything else? I don't believe there is. No, we are just put the figures in, which I will glue in future. I won't just leave them standing in here. I'll get their positionings worked out and then glue them in. So first one being the gunner, he sits in down, or stands in down there. Commander, oh, it's a tight fit getting these guys in here. Maybe he's got to go in from the front. There we are, and then the loader stood in the back. So I'll zoom you in on this and we can have a quick look-see of a bit further out. That'll do, we might actually get it in shot. So there we have it. The finished Tamiya SU76M. If you actually sat and watched all of these, I thank you very much. It's been a ride. I can't say I'm not glad to have it done, but it's a superb kit. It really is. The only problems with it were of my making, by putting the tracks on the jig upside down and trying to fit the top plate in the wrong place. Yeah, as a kit, great. It's typical Tamiya quality. Let's see if we can get a side view of it as well without all the crew falling out. And so I hope you liked what you've seen. this can now go on the shelf and we'll start something else. So again, if you've watched all of these, thank you very much. No more of these, last one, yay. So enjoy your modelling. I hope from this series you've learned either something or picked up a new tip. Have fun. Oh, I'll zoom you back out again. There we go. Have fun. Peace. Rock on. And bye bye for now.